Alright, in this video I am going over just a handful of things to review and remember about sales tax, tip, and discount. And even though I don't really plan on going through and doing these problems with you, I am just going to scan through and remind you guys about a handful of things from this unit. So first I want to start off about discounts, because the first problem asks what is the amount saved. That is a discount. Discounts are calculated the same way that we do tax and tip, and you simply subtract them from the subtotal. Now for question number 2, if it asks what is the sale price, that is asking you to find the price that you would pay for an item after you subtract away the discount. So for a problem like number 1, you're just multiplying the $49.50 times the 0.25, and that's going to be your answer. For number 2, when you take the $39.99 and multiply it by the 0.15, that's the discount, and now you have to actually subtract it. For number 2, if we take the $39.99 and multiply it by the 0.15, we can see that the discount here would round up to $6 off. So then you take the $39.99 and you subtract the $6, and this oil change would cost $33.99. Another way you can do that for the sale price problems is that if it's 15% off, that means you're going to be paying 85%. So if you take the $39.99 and multiply by the 85% that you have to pay, there is the $33.99 that you have to pay for the oil change. Okay? All right. Number 3 is going to be pretty straightforward. And for number 4, it does ask for the amount that the family is going to leave for gratuity, and then after it does follow up with how much will they spend including the tip. So this one's actually 2 questions. For number 5, I just want to make sure you're careful when multiplying this in a calculator, that when you move that decimal over, it's going to be, if the 8 has a 8.875 here, you just move the decimal back twice. And so in the calculator, you're multiplying the $250 times the 0.08875. For a question like number 5, it's just asking how much tax would you pay. So when you multiply this number in the calculator times the 250, that's going to be your answer. Friendly reminder that every once in a while, I might ask, how much would you pay for the actual item? Which means you would then have to take the tax and add it back into the 250. But for this problem, it's just asking how much tax would you pay. If you want to pause the video at any point and go back and just do these problems, that's fine. I'm going to keep going now on page 9, and I'm just scrolling through, and all I'm doing is I'm just kind of scanning the problems and making sure if there's anything I see that you're going to get confused on, I'm just going to go ahead and address it. For number 6, it's asking if an item costs $12 and it's on sale for 15% off, how much change will you receive if you pay with a $20 bill? So just be careful that it's asking how much change you're going to get back. For a problem like number 7, make sure you're careful with determining how many people are at the restaurant if it asks you for how much they'll each owe. When you read this problem carefully, and it says that those 4 people have all gone to Glory Days for dinner, and it says that they have a coupon for 20% off, this question's only asking for the total. It's not asking you to split it amongst those 4 people. If you remember back in the unit, there was a problem that said somebody and her 3 friends went out to eat, which meant 4 people were there, and when I asked how much they each would pay, instead of dividing by the 4 people that were there, some of you saw that 3 friends were with her and just divided by 3. So just be careful. This problem is asking us just for the total for all 4 people though, so you don't got to worry about splitting it up. And what I wanted to review in number 7 is that you can go ahead and subtract the discount. So you're going to have your starting number, the 5650, and you're going to be multiplying, I'm going to multiply by 0.80, because if it's 20% off, we have to pay for 80% of the meal. So when you do the 5650 times the 80% that you have to pay for, they owe $45.20. That's the new number that you're going to be using for the rest of the problem in the calculator when you multiply by the 0.06 for the tax. Now what this problem also does is it stops the problem before we have to worry about calculating anything that they're going to leave for tip. So this just reviews how to calculate the 20% off and then adding on the 6% tax to the 4520. So whatever you get here, just make sure you add that answer to the 4520 to get their total bill. Because this right here, that's just going to be the amount of tax that they owe. Okay? So once you add that in, then you're going to have the final answer right there. Now, in a previous video, I've already gone through simple interest, and so you should be okay with I, P, R, and T. And in the other video, I also gave an example for how to solve for R. So if you didn't watch that video for page 7, there is an example for how to solve for the rate whenever I ask you to, for a problem like number 2. All right? So for a problem like number 2, in I equals PRT, you're not just going to be given P, R, and T over here and then just plug them all in. Nope. What I'm actually going to be doing is giving you the interest right there and then also telling you what P, R, and T are. And then what you're going to be solving for is right here, the rate. All right? So just be careful for a problem like that. Now the video is going to keep going, moving on over to the next page where you're just practicing some more with simple interest. I just want you guys to practice some more of these problems on your own. I don't think that there's anything in 3 or 4 that are going to be too tricky for you guys. And real quick, with percent of change, you take the difference of the 2 numbers and you divide it by the original. And in the calculator, when you take the difference of the 2 numbers and divide it by the original, that gives you a decimal. And a lot of you can just move the decimal over twice, but some of you just hit times 100 in the calculator, and that tells you the percent of change. Now for a problem like number 1, I remember you guys earlier in the school year when we learned this stuff, you guys got confused for this problem because instead of me saying, all right, last year the track club had 28 members and now they have 23, which means you would have to subtract to get the difference, I'm just going ahead and telling you right here that they lost 5 members. So I'm already giving you the difference out of the original 28 right there. And then when you divide in the calculator, you'll get your decimal and you'll move it over twice and that'll tell you the percent. Okay? So I remember in the unit number 1, that one was tricky for you guys because I told you the difference as opposed to a problem like the next one where I'm giving you a starting height and a new height. And now you've got to calculate the difference first and then divide by the original. Feel free again to pause the video at any time, but I'm just going to keep right on rolling and finish up here with the checkbook registry on page 11. And this is kind of the last thing we needed to really talk about in the consumer unit. I talked to you guys earlier when we were learning this stuff about balancing a checkbook. And right here, it has what the transaction actually was. And if it was a payment, that means it's getting subtracted. And if it was a deposit, that means it's getting added. So all you really got to do is take this starting number and say, all right, I got that in my calculator. And now I'm going to be subtracting here for the water payment. Then I'm going to be adding here, or sorry, for the water bill. Then I add because I got paid. That's just right there. All that is that somebody's got like their paycheck. Then you deduct for rent, you deduct again for groceries, and then you deduct to be paying off some student loans. And after all of that, you're going to have what Victor's ending balance would be. And down here, the only thing I wanted to make sure I reviewed with you is deposit. Again, money's going into your account. If you're writing a check, money's coming out of the account. And balance is just the amount that you have in the account after all of the adding and subtracting. So that's going to be the end of the video. And at this point, if you need to go back and work on any of the problems, starting with the consumer page on tax, tip, and discount, make sure everything in this last set of pages is complete. Thank you.